I'm Rhys, I'm from England, I'm 19, and I'd say probably just about like 9 or maybe 8 is when I've had problems with my weight. When I was about 9 or 8, I wasn't necessarily aware of it as much, but as I got to kind of 12 and 13, starting secondary school, that's when I was I say more aware, I was very kind of aware of the problem. And I've been seeing doctors before that anyway for other health conditions, and it was about that time that I started having a lot of chats with my doctors about my weight and how I could help it, or getting blood tests done and things like that. The only time it's made a real difference is actually lockdown, when I was 16 at the time, and me and my mum had a chat, and we said like, if lockdown is going to affect everyone negatively because everyone's going to be sitting around, we both agreed that at the time that was when I was my heaviest, and we couldn't let the problem get any worse. Well, it's not like we couldn't let it get any worse, but we agreed that we don't want to take loads of steps back. And that's when actually I did a kind of calorie tracking, and that's when I lost a lot of weight. So over lockdown, I lost 25 kilos, and I've kind of stayed around the weight I was when I lost that. So currently 98 kilos. And I'm at the point now where I'm just trying to go through and do my own thing with fitness and so on. So yeah. So looking at now compared to the past, I've always been confident, but now I feel a lot more confident in myself. And my confidence before was about what other people thought of me and how they treated me. But now I tend to find that I have a lot more confidence with myself and what I do, so I'm not necessarily looking for everyone's approval as much as I used to be. And one thing that has changed before and now is, before I had a lot of doctors regurgitating advice to me, and it would be from doing one thing where it was, I'll just do more exercise, and then the next appointment it would be, I'll just drink more water, and it would go back and forth. But since I stopped seeing the doctors, because I got older and I wasn't in the paediatric area, I had a lot more progressive advice, and I had doctors who seemed to keep more track of what I was telling them, and it wasn't like I was saying the same thing every time. The advice I would give people is, don't think that what other people do is going to work for you, because the amount of people who I knew or I saw and they made little changes to their life and it helped them a lot and it did so much for them, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. And it might mean that there's only a little bit of work to do, but it's just in a different way. So you need to be up for kind of experimenting and not think that, everyone else does this, so it's going to work for me. Like, if I just do more exercise, that'll work. And that might be the case for some people, but it's not the same for everyone. So you've got to try and look at it from as many angles as possible and not just listen to what one person has to say.
Okay.
Some people have said that it's my fault, or they've at least thought it, where it's been, I've never had it in a nasty or malicious way. It's more been about, they don't understand. So they don't, think of me any differently. They just think, he just ate too much when he was younger. But when I explained to some of them what was actually going on, they didn't understand at all. When I told them, like, straight up what it was, that it wasn't just, I'm not doing enough exercise or I'm eating too much. I tell them, I've been counting calories and I'm doing more exercise. So if it was normal, I should be losing weight. They have a completely different view of it. So I've had people think it's my fault, but purely out of misunderstanding in my personal experience. So after filming today in Frankfurt for the podcast series, I was excited to do it, mainly because trying to do a podcast with Zoom meetings and over a blank screen isn't the same as meeting people in person. And we had yesterday to kind of chat more and get to know each other. And then doing it in person, it feels obviously, more personal to everyone, because you get more of an understanding of their character, and also as well when you're filming, you can see if people want to talk and it's a bit more natural rather than doing it for a screen where it's just blank and you hope that you're not going to, cut someone off or interrupt them. So it makes the flow of the conversation go a lot easier. Now, today was interesting, mainly because I've never been in a professional recording studio like that, but also nice whilst we had some people doing the podcast and I was outside, was able to have a chance to chat with some of the parents and get their view, because obviously the parents' experience and the child's experience is different, and it's about how they've dealt with it and how people on the podcast have dealt with it personally. And it was nice to see kind of two sides of it and be able to relate it to myself and my parents, particularly my mum.